Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today we will learn about the submandibular gland. The submandibular gland is a mixed type of salivary gland present in the digastric fossa. There are two glands, one on each side. As a recollection, I made a diagram of submandibular digastric triangle. You can see here, this is the lower border of the mandible and this is the hyoid bone. You can see anterior belly of digastric, posterior belly of digastric and the lower border of mandible along with an imaginary line from the mandible to the mastoid process. This forms a triangle, that is the digastric triangle. On the medial side of the mandible there is a fossa called mandibular fossa, where this this area shaded with red color is the place for the submandibular gland. If you see here, you can see the floor of this triangle is formed by the mylohyoid muscle and a part of this is the hyoglossus muscle. This green color is hyoglossus muscle, which is inserting into the side of the tongue. The mylohyoid muscle is originating from the hyoid bone and it is inserting onto the mylohyoid line on the medial aspect of the mandible, and medial and anterior ends of both muscles join to form a median raphe here. So, this is forming the floor of the mouth. Now, you can see the submandibular gland is located here. How it is placed there and what are its relations, we will see in this class. The submandibular gland is walnut shaped and it appears as a walnut and it is about 10 to 20 grams in weight. It has a superficial part and a deep part. It has a superficial part like this and a deep part lies on the medial aspect of this gland, that is it starts from here and it is like this. So, that is it will be on the medial aspect of the gland. You have to keep it in mind. To show it clearly, we will show you a little bit tilted image. So, this is how it is formed. You can see now, this is the mandible and here it is the hyoid bone. From here, the mylohyoid muscle is taking origin from here and joining the mandible like this. The anterior belly of the digastric, it originates here and both bellies join by an intermediate tendon and the posterior belly goes to the mastoid process like this. The deep cervical fascia forms a sling over the intermediate tendon. This mylohyoid inserts onto the mylohyoid line on the mandible like this. So, this is the mylohyoid muscle and it is the top part of this. Our submandibular salivary gland lies on the lateral aspect of this mylohyoid muscle. So, it is its shape is like this and it appears like this. So, the superficial part lies like this and the deep part goes behind the muscle, and so this is the both this is the deep part and this is the superficial part. Both parts are continuous around the posterior border of this mylohyoid muscle. So, this is the mylohyoid muscle and this is the tongue muscle from here and here is the styloid process, and from there we have styloglossus muscle, and we have hyoglossus. From here I will change the color for the hyoglossus. You can see this is the hyoglossus muscle. It inserts to the side of the tongue like this. So, this pink color is the hyoglossus muscle like this. So, hyoglossus lies behind or medial to the mylohyoid muscle. So, we will see the upper part only, and this is the styloglossus muscle. Styloglossus, and this is the hyoglossus. This is the hyoglossus, and this part is actually, this is the middle constrictor muscle. If you learn this diagram, you can easily say the relations of the gland. So, here we have the middle constrictor, and from the styloid process we have another muscle which comes down like this, that is stylopharyngeus muscle. Stylopharyngeus muscle passes between the gap through a gap between the middle constrictor and superior constrictor muscle. So, this is the stylopharyngeus muscle from the styloid process to the wall of the pharynx. So, this is the stylopharyngeus. So, this is the middle constrictor muscle. It is a fan shaped muscle and it forms like this. This is the posterior belly of digastric. Now, this gland, you can see the superficial part is large and the deep part is very small. The posterior border is grooved here. It forms a groove to allow the facial artery to climb over it. Then, so that there is a groove is there. How it is going there, we will see a little bit later. Now, coming to the superficial part, it has two ends, one anterior end and one posterior end. At the posterior end, it is continuous with the deep part behind the mylohyoid muscle. You remember that. In the diagram, we cannot show the behind part, so we are showing like this. So, it is behind the mylohyoid. The mylohyoid was cut here to show you the deep part, and it has an anterior end and a posterior end. If we see crosswise, if this is the mandible, the superficial part will be like this, and by seeing this you can easily see one lateral surface, one inferior surface and one medial surface. Three surfaces are there like this. This part of the gland is surrounded by the deep cervical fascia like this. The deep cervical fascia reaches the submandibular gland and splits into two layers. The medial layer attaches to the mylohyoid line, here it is the mylohyoid line, and the lateral layer attaches to the ramus of the mandible at the angle. Now, you can see here the mylohyoid muscle is like this. This is the mylohyoid muscle, and if you all remember, the inferior alveolar nerve and inferior alveolar artery gives blood supply to this mylohyoid muscle. So, those vessels and nerve will be present here. So, these are the mylohyoid vessels and nerves. This is the mylohyoid muscle. These are the mylohyoid vessels and the nerve. Now, I told you here one minute please. So, where is the sketch? So, here you can see the facial artery which is emerging somewhere here from the external carotid artery. It is the place. From there it reaches the posterior boundary or the posterior end of this gland, where it passes through the groove. Then it climbs up and turns down like this onto its lateral surface. That means from here, after gaining this position, that artery goes down like this. Then it pierces the deep cervical fascia and then turns onto the mandible like this. If you see, it goes down and it turns onto the mandible like this. So, here you can see the facial artery goes through this groove, then climbs on to the upper surface of the gland, posterior aspect of the gland, then turning onto the lateral surface like this, then crossing the mandible from its below like this, and it is going onto the face as facial artery. So, this loop will be on the posterior border. Now, lateral to it is the facial vein. The facial vein passes through like this. From the face, it is coming down and it passes on the lateral aspect of this gland like this. This is the facial vein. This is the facial artery and facial vein. Both are related. So, you can see the lateral relations of this gland. The lateral relations of this gland are, you can see it is the outside the mandible there is a masseter muscle. So, skin, masseter muscle and mandible, then the facial artery and comes the gland, the facial vein and the facial artery. And you can see on the medial side, you can see the mylohyoid vessels, mylohyoid nerve and the mylohyoid muscle is the relation. In this diagram also you can see here the mylohyoid muscles, nerves, mylohyoid artery, that artery also gives a twig to the anterior belly of the digastric. So, it comes like this, and the nerve also comes down from here to the anterior belly of digastric. So, these are the mylohyoid vessels and nerves. This is the mylohyoid muscle and this is the hyoglossus muscle. Remember that, like that. So, this is the hyoglossus muscle. Now, if we see the relations, the medial relations of this superficial part, you can see here at the anterior end, it is related medially with, it is resting on the mylohyoid muscle and the mylohyoid vessels and the nerve. The middle part, this is the middle part which is resting on the hyoglossus muscle. This is the hyoglossus muscle, and we have the lingual nerve. The lingual nerve comes from above. It comes from above like this, and there is a duct for this Wharton's duct. It is called a Wharton's duct, which opens into the floor of the mouth on the lingual papilla. This is the lingual papilla. So, this lingual nerve curves this duct from its lateral aspect, then goes up into the tongue. Before that, above this deep part, it presents a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion here. So, that is the submandibular ganglion. So, this part lies medial to the mandible. So, submandibular ganglion. So, this part, actually middle part resting on the hyoglossus, and a little bit here this ganglion is present behind this part, above this deep part. So, then coming to the posterior aspect, on the posterior aspect you all know it is related to the stylomandibular ligament, the stylomandibular. So, mandible will be here. I will show you another diagram. If you see in this diagram, if you see in this diagram, from the styloid process, this brown color one to the angle of the mandible is the stylomandibular ligament. this ligament separates this posterior border of this gland with the parotid gland which is present here. So, this is the place for the parotid gland and this is the submandibular gland. You can see the stylomandibular ligament is there which is separating this gland. So, that is why this is related to the stylomandibular ligament and the middle constrictor muscle which is present here, posterior belly of digastric, and we have stylopharyngeus muscle here. So, all these muscles are related to here. Then we have another nerve from here, hypoglossal nerve comes here and it goes above like this, behind these parts to the tongue. So, these are related. From another nerve from here, it is the glossopharyngeal nerve, it is coming like this. So, this is the 9th nerve and this is the 11th nerve. So, these two nerves also come to the tongue. This is the lingual nerve. So, these are the relations of the superficial part. Coming to the deep part, this deep part runs between the mylohyoid muscle and the hyoglossus muscle. It is sandwiched between the two muscles and it almost extends up to the posterior border of this sublingual gland. So, this is the sublingual gland and this is the submandibular gland, and this deep part, if we see the relations, on either side we have mylohyoid muscle on the lateral aspect and hyoglossus on the middle aspect, and we have the lingual nerve and the submandibular ganglion just above the deep part. So, this is the position of the submandibular gland. Coming to its secretions, it is a mixed gland, but predominantly serous secretion is there. So, all these secretions are collected by intercalated ducts and then collecting ducts. All these ducts form few ducts here, then they all open into a common duct which runs through the deep part. I will show you in another diagram. You can see this diagram once. So, if this is the gland, this is the deep part. So, all ducts are collecting the secretions here and all form a common duct which opens on the anterior aspect of the deep part. That duct passes through like this, like this. So, this is the submandibular duct, also called as Wharton's duct. So, this duct opens onto a lingual papilla which is present under the tongue. So, this is the tongue. So, we discussed that it is a mixed gland, that means it has both serous acini and mucous acini. So, and the mucous acini in this gland are specifically covered by or capped by semilunar serous seromucous acini, those are called demilunes. Demilunes are seen in the mixed glands. Demilunes are seen. Now, the microscopic structure and details of these acini we will see in another video. Now, we will see most important is the nerve supply. The blood supply is by the branches of the facial artery and the lingual artery. The facial artery is present on the groove behind it. So, the facial artery is like this. So, it gives branches. The lingual artery, if this is the hyoglossus muscle and this is the hyoid bone. The lingual artery passes like this behind the hyoglossus muscle, then ascends along the anterior border of this muscle and reaches the tongue here. So, this is the lingual artery, course of the lingual artery. Then the main important is the lingual nerve which is coming from above, curves on the lateral aspect of this duct to its medial side, then reaches the tongue. So it's a sensory nerve, you all know, branch of mandibular nerve, and here it presents a submandibular ganglion which is hanging from the lingual nerve by two roots, one anterior root and one posterior root. So this is the anterior root and this is the posterior root. If you remember the submandibular, the mandibular nerve class, the lingual nerve is joined by the chorda tympani nerve in the infratemporal fossa. So it is joined by chorda tympani nerve. You have to remember that, chorda tympani, and this is lingual nerve. Now, this nerve supply, the submandibular gland receives secretomotor fibers from the superior salivatory nucleus which is present there in the pons. So from there the fibers passes through the nervus intermedius which is the sensory root of the facial nerve. So I will give you the details. So from the nervus intermedius to the facial nerve, from there the fibers passes through the facial nerve and its genicular ganglion without any relay there, and they pass through the facial nerve and pass into the chorda tympani branch. Chorda tympani branch, from there to the lingual nerve, and from lingual nerve through this posterior root they enter into this ganglion to the, and they relay in submandibular ganglion. It's a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion, very small in size, and from there the up to here they are called preganglionic secretomotor fibers. From here they will be called as postganglionic secretomotor fibers. So these postganglionic secretomotor fibers reaches this gland in a special way. So from there 6 to 8 branches they directly enter the gland from its anterior surface like this. So they enter the gland and they supply the secretomotor fibers to the submandibular gland, and few pass through this posterior root and through the lingual nerve, and they reach the sublingual gland here like this. And also these fibers through lingual nerve they reach to the accessory salivary glands which are present in the tongue and the buccal mucosa, palate. So these are all secretomotor fibers. These secretomotor fibers induce the watery secretion. So this goes to the submandibular gland. So today we are concerned with the submandibular gland. So we are talking only about the submandibular gland. So these fibers cause watery secretions from this gland, and I already told you the facial artery is here, the lingual artery is here, and these are the branches of external carotid artery around which the sympathetic fibers, which are secretomotor in fiber, vasomotor in nature, they they pass through this ganglion without any relay and they reach this gland. Actually they are vasomotor in nature, but recent studies show that they also induce mucus secretion. So they are also secretomotor to this gland, because the parasympathetic fibers induce watery secretion and the sympathetic fibers also induce mucus secretion, and they also act as the vasomotor fibers to this gland. And sensory fibers from this gland will pass through this ganglion without any delay to the lingual nerve and to the mandibular nerve, and thus this ganglion is acting as a local station there. It is a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion. Then we will discuss the microscopic structure and other details in another video. Thank you. Due to technical issues, today's class is on paper. Please like, share and subscribe, and click the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thank you very much.